Assalamualaikum and hi everyone, my name is Muhammad Syukri Hakimi. And today, me and my group will be presenting about the awareness of dengue fever among Psis students. So, the objective or the purpose for this survey is to see if Psis students are well protected from dengue fever, either they live inside the hostel or outside the hostel. And next, we want to investigate the root causes for dengue fever or the cause for dengue fever. And we create a Google form to collect the data easily. So we receive up to 60 responses from different departments. So most of them from commerce department, and most of them are male, and most of them from semester 4. So the duration to take this survey is only take 1 to 2 minutes.
Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera and good day for everyone. My name is Muhammad Karim Naim bin Hashim. So today, I will be presenting about our English mini project, which is methodology. Okay, for the first part is, who is your respondent? This survey receives to 60 students, which is 30 male and 30 female in 6 departments. Next, where do you carry out the survey? We decided to carry out this survey from students in our Polytechnic Sultan Idris Shah, Sabak Bernam. Next, why do you choose them to be respondent? Because it is easier to get information and fast only through online form compared to outsider. Moreover, our study at Polytechnic. Okay, we move to the next is, when do you carry out the survey? This survey we carry out in week 4 until week 6. This questionnaire have 5 parts, which is part 1 is demographic information, continue with part 2 until part 5 is all about answer the question. Okay, part 1 is demographic information, which is age, gender, semester, course and your departments. Part 2 is about to investigate that students are protected from dengue fever and contains 3 sub-questions. Part 3 is to identify the root cause of dengue fever and contain 3 sub-questions. Next, part 4 is about to describe the dangers of dengue fever and contain 3 sub-questions. And last but not least is part 5 is about to identify if Psis management is alert about the dengue fever compared to other polytechnic, and it also contains 3 sub-questions.
So I'm going to present 3 questions and using 3 different paragraphs. I'm going to explain this question using this paragraph. So the first question is, how often do you think dengue cases happen in your area? For this question, I'm going to use pie chart. Why I'm using pie chart? Technically, pie chart is used for comparison. So it makes sense we're using pie chart because we're collecting all the data from the survey and we want to compare each data. So the first one I'm choose pie chart. So without further ado, let's go. As you can see, this yellow mustard color with the highest percentage, which is 44.8%, answered once a year, which is 44.8% is the highest response among 3 others answer. And then we had second one, which is slightly lower than once a year, which is twice a year. And then we had the third one, more than 3 times a year, which is 14.9%. And we had the lowest response, which is 7.5%, which is answered never. So if you can see, 44.8%. If we had like total 60 respondents, if we convert 44.8, it will be like 30 students from 60 students answered once a year, and then 21 students from 60 students answered twice a year, and then we got 9 students answered more than 3 times a year, and we got 5 students answered never had a case in their area. So this is for the first question, and then we move on to the next question. Okay, for the next question, do you take any actions to prevent this disease from spreading? So for this question, I'm using bar graph. I think bar graph is the second suitable graph to be used. So I'm using bar graph for this question. So the highest amount of respondents answered is find and wipe all Aedes, which is 30 respondents answered find and wipe all the Aedes, and then the use aerosol spray is slightly lower than find and wipe all the Aedes, with 26 students answered, and then we have the lowest answer, which is remind others about the danger of the disease, with 14 students answered. Okay, we go to the next. Okay, for the last question is, do you think dengue fever could be epidemic? So I know I'm using line graph wrong, because most of the time line graph is used for business or marketing purposes, so kind of bit wrong right there, but I'm trying my best to explain to you guys using this line graph. Okay. Okay, so back to the question, do you think dengue fever could be epidemic? So what is epidemic? Okay, you guys may or may not have heard this kind of word, epidemic. I think you guys more familiar to pandemic. Okay, for this current state right now, we're facing a virus named coronavirus, and which is placed at pandemic. Okay, so we got dengue fever, which is we placed in epidemic. So what's the difference between a pandemic and epidemic? Okay, so we go first to pandemic. Pandemic is a disease that spread almost every country in the world, but epidemic only affect whole community. It means it happened on certain area. Okay, it may not sound bad. It doesn't affect the whole economy in the country, but it might spread to the whole country. Okay, so it is important to prevent before it's getting worse. Okay, we already went before. Okay, so back to the question. So why does day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and 5? So we open our Google form and our survey for 5 days from 15 September to 20 September. So there's 5 days. So the 5 days, there's an uptrend and down. There's the amount of students answered each day increasing. So we look at the probability first. Okay, so the question is, do you think dengue fever could be epidemic? So there's people answered probably. Okay, probably. So on the first day of the survey for probably, there's only 7 students answered for probably, and then there's day 2 increasing to 15 students, and day 3 24, and day 4 29, and then at the end of the day, at the end of the data collection day, 38 students answered for absolutely, answered for probably. I'm sorry. And then we go to absolutely first. So absolutely down here, see down on the gray color, I guess. Okay, on day 1 for absolutely, only 2 people answering this on the day 1, only 2 people, and then from day 2 they increasing to 7 students answered absolutely, and then day 3 we got 10 students answered absolutely, and then they increasing to 12, and then they stayed on 15, increased about like 3 students. At the end of the day, total students that answer absolutely is 15 students. And then we go to impossible. So at the day 1, only 1 student answer choose impossible, and then day 2 increasing to 8 students, and then day 3 go to 12 students, and day 4 to 14 students, and then day 5 stay on the 14 students. It means total students that answered impossible is 15 students. That's all. I guess that's all for me. Already explaining about 3 questions using 3 different paragraphs.
Graph 1. How do dengue fever spreads? From the bar graph shown, the title is How do dengue fever spread? This survey shows that the data that we have collected from the 60 number of students from Polytechnic Sultan Idris Shah. So that has 3 categories that students can choose, which is Aedes mosquito bite, body contact, and air. So from the bar show that Aedes mosquito has 46 number of students, body contact has 9 number of students, and air has 5 number of students. It can be clearly seen that the most popular selected by 46 students is Aedes mosquito bite, where the least popular selected by Polytechnic Sultan Idris Shah. So let's make a comparison between these bar. So from the comparison between Aedes mosquito and body contact, the number of students who vote for the Aedes mosquito bite was a great deal higher than who vote the body contact. It can be clearly seen that where 46 students who choose the Aedes mosquito and only 9 students for body contact. Next, body contact vs air. That number of students who vote for student for body contact was fractionally higher than who vote for air. It can be clearly seen that where 9 students who choose the body contact and 5 students choose for air. And the number 3 comparison is air vs Aedes mosquito. The number of students who vote for air was dramatically lower than who vote for Aedes mosquito bite. It can be clearly seen that where 5 students who choose the A and 46 students for Aedes mosquito bite. So for the conclusion is, it can be concluded the most popular selected by 40 students is Aedes mosquito bite, and where the least popular is A from student Polytechnic Sultan Idris Shah. Graph 2, which is it is possible that the mosquito breed in your house. Okay, the pie chart shows the possible that the mosquito breed in your house. The survey aimed to identify the root cause of dengue fever factor of Polytechnic Sultan Idris Shah students. So from the pie chart, they have 68% choose probably, 50% choose impossible, and 70% choose absolutely. As you can see from the pie chart, a massive majority of the students choose probably, because some of the students know about Aedes mosquito bite come from the house, where impossible were the least popular of Polytechnic Sultan Idris Shah. So the summary is, it can be seen that exactly 68% of Polytechnic Sultan Idris Shah choose probably, where around 117% of the students choose the possible that the mosquito breed in the house due to absolutely. And thirdly, below of 1/5 only choose impossible from students of Polytechnic Sultan Idris Shah. So in the conclusion, among student Polytechnic, Sultan Idris Shah was most chosen is probably, while impossible was the least chosen as the possible that the mosquito breed in the house. Graph 3. Do you think the society do not take this disease seriously? From your screen now, this is the pie chart. The title say the society did not take the dengue fever seriously. Okay, the pie chart above show the society do not take the dengue fever seriously. The survey aimed to identify the root cause of the dengue fever factor of Polytechnic Sultan Idris Shah students. As you can see in the pie chart, students prefer choose 50% yes, 30% is not sure, and 90% is no. As you can see from the pie chart, a super majority of the students choose yes because some of people take this disease easily around them, where who choose no was the least popular of student Polytechnic Sultan Idris Shah. So the summary in this pie chart is can be seen that among a half of Polytechnic Sultan Idris Shah prefer choose yes, where the nearly a third of the students choose of not sure, that the society did not take the dengue fever seriously. And thirdly, close to 19% only choose no from the students of Polytechnic Sultan Idris Shah. So from the conclusion in this pie chart, among 60 students of Polytechnic Sultan Idris Shah was most chosen yes, while no was the least popular chosen, as the society did not take the dengue fever seriously. So that's all for me. Thank you for your listening.
Hello, my name is Ahmad Imran bin Zahrullah. First of all, I will explain about the percentage of awareness about dengue can spread easily if Psis students do not take it seriously. I use pie chart to explain about the questionnaire that have been voted by 16 Psis students because I think it is more suitable and more easily to understand. Based on this pie chart, there are 3 differences answer for this vote. About 92.5% are majority of Psis students voted yes. There are 6% among the Psis students that voted not sure, while the balance about 1.5% of Psis students voted no for this questionnaire. Comparison. I will compare about these 3 different answer of votes for this questionnaire. Let's start with the comparison between the voting of yes and no. We can see that the number of students who vote for yes is a great deal higher than no. Most of 16 students choose yes compared to no. Next, I will compare the voting of yes and no sure among the Psis students. As shown from this pie chart, the number of students who vote for yes is great deal higher than no. Most of 16 students choose yes compared to not sure. Lastly, I will compare the voting of no and not sure among the Psis students. Clearly shown from this pie chart, the number of students who vote for no is marginally lower than not sure. Most 16 students choose not sure compared to no. Conclusion. It can be concluded most of 16 Psis students choose yes, that of awareness about dengue can spread easily if Psis students do not take it seriously, and no is the lowest compared to others in this survey. Next, I will explain the second graph about the percentage of dengue fever symptom even has among Psis student. I use bar graph to explain about the questionnaire that have been voted by 16 Psis students because it accordance with the answer in the questionnaire. Based on this bar graph, there are 7 differences answer for this vote. About 40.3% or majority of Psis students voted never. There are 70.9% that vote favor and headache, stomach pain and diarrhea, and all of the above has the sum rating of 11.9%. The poll we found was also muscle and joint pain as 10.4%. While the balance about 6% of Psis students voted red rashes on the skins and about 1.6% of Psis students voted vomiting. Comparison. I will compare about these three different answer of voted for this questionnaire. Let's start with the comparison between the voting of never and all of the above. We can see that who vote never is considerably higher than all of the above. Most of 16 students choose never compared to all of the above. Next I will compare the voting of never and vomiting among the Psis students. As shown from this bar graph, the number of students who vote for never is great deal higher than vomiting. Most of 16 students choose never compared to vomiting. And lastly, I will compare the voting of fever and headache and stomach pain and diarrhea among the Psis students. Clearly shown from this bar graph, the number of students who vote for fever and headache is slightly higher than stomach pain and diarrhea. Most of 16 students choose fever and headache compared to stomach pain and diarrhea. Conclusion. It can be concluded most of 16 Psis students choose never that of dengue fever symptom even has among Psis students, and vomiting is the lowest compared others in this survey. Lastly, I will explain about the percentage of students believe that dengue fever can bring fatality. I use pie chart to explain about the questionnaire that have been voted by 16 Psis students because I think it is more suitable compared to another graph. Based on this pie chart, there are 3 differences answer for this vote. About 71.6% or majority of Psis students vote yes. There are 16.4% among the Psis students that vote not sure. While the balance about 11.9% of Psis students vote no for this questionnaire. Comparison. I will compare about these 3 different answer of voted for this questionnaire. Let's start with the comparison between the voting of yes and no. We can see that the number of students who vote for yes is great deal higher than no. Most of 16 students choose yes compared to no. Next, I will compare the voting of yes and not sure among the Psis students. As shown from this pie chart, the number of students who vote for yes is considerably higher than not sure. Most of 16 students choose yes compared to not sure. And lastly, I will compare the voting of not sure and no among the Psis students. Clearly shown from this pie chart, the number of students who vote for not sure is fractionally higher than no. Most of 16 students choose not sure compared to no. Conclusion. It can be concluded most of 16 Psis students choose yes that of students believe that dengue fever can bring fatality, and no is the lowest compared to other in this survey. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi.
My name is Muhammad Hamizan bin Abdul Rahim. I will present the part 5. The part 5 is about to identify if disease management alert about the dengue fevers compared to other polytechnic. This is a graph number 1. The graph number 1 show about the often of disease management doing the fogging procedure in the disease area in a month. The total number of students involved in this survey by the Google form is 60 students. The survey was carried out by a group of 4 members among the IB 4B. This survey show the data we has collected from the student of the Polytechnic Sultan Idrisha. It can be seen clearly that 40 students choose the disease management doing the fogging procedure once a month, and 12 students has vote the 3 times a month, and 8 students choose never. It can be clearly that the most of 60 students who vote for once a month, and only 8 students has choice the never for the survey. First comparison is once a month versus 3 times a month. The number of students who vote for once a month was dramatically higher, more than who vote for 3 times a month. It can be clearly seen that of 60 students who choose once time a month compares to the 3 times a month. The second comparison is once a month versus never. The number of students who vote for once time a month was dramatically higher who vote for never. It can be clearly seen that most of the 60 students who choose the once time a month, and only a small group has chosen the never. The comparison is 3 times a month versus never. The numbers of students who vote for 3 times a month was marginally higher than who vote for never. It can be clearly seen that most of 60 students who choose the 3 times a month went to the never. It can be concluded that the most of 60 students of Psis was choose once time a month. The Psis management doing the fogging in this area 3 times a month in a second place, and the lowest one is the who vote for never the survey. Graph number 2 show about rating of student give to the Psis management. The survey show that the data we has collected from the student of Polytechnic Sultan Idrisha. As you can see from the chart, a large majority 59.7% of students give 4 star to the Psis management. Something positive from the result we get. Besides that, some students 31.3% give the 2 stars of the rating, and only 9% students give 6 star rating to the Psis management. As comparison, 4 star versus 6 star, it can be clearly seen that exactly half of students give 4 star rating to the Psis management because of their experience. The second comparison is 4 star versus 2 star, whereas less than a 10 of students give a 2 star for Psis management compared to who give a 4 star for the Psis management, because most of the students complacent to the Psis management. The third comparison is 6 star versus 2 star. That's only slightly over a quarter of students give a 6 star to the Psis management, because that is very satisfied of the Psis management. In conclusion, most of the students choose 4 star for the Psis management, but students who choose the 2 star are also relatively high percentage. This show some students
are less satisfied with the action of the Psis management or the curbing the spread of the dengue fever. And the lowest one is the who give the 6 star for the Psis management. The graph number 3 is about the student ever seen the poster for information about the dengue fever in the Psis area. This survey shows the data we have collected from the student of Polytechnic Sultan Idrisha. It can be clearly seen that 40 students vote for yes. That means they have seen poster or information about the dengue fever, and only 20% has voted for no. That means they don't have ever seen the poster or information about the dengue fever in the Psis area. First comparison is yes versus no. The number of students who vote for yes was significantly higher compared who vote for no. It can be seen clearly 40 students have chosen for yes and only 20 students has chosen for no. Second comparison is no versus yes. The number of students who vote for no was significantly lower than who vote for yes. It can be seen that there were 20 students only choose no and 40 students has choice for yes. It can be concluded most of the students has voted for yes. This means they have seen the poster or information about the dengue fever in the Psis area, such as in the library, bilik kuliah, Ustaz Islam, and the lowest one is the who vote for no. But we have concluded that the answer we get is the very positive. So far, the Psis management have carried out the good responsibility, and many students know about the dengue fever and its symptoms. The students also give the best rating to the Psis management because they have done for the test, such as doing a following procedure for each block and making poster or information about the dengue fever. What we can learn from our project: many students already aware of the dengue fever. It's also our own responsibility to maintain the personal hygiene and our environment, with a sense of responsibility in ourselves. Indirectly, we will be free from being infected of the dengue fever. The recommendation to improve our research: the first is get organized. A well-organized paper with all the key elements important to conveying your study. Result will take you a long way in making your article reader friendly. Organizing your thought is the first step. For writing a clear and crisp manuscript, understand your hypothesis or objective of the study, and build of the necessary background required to set up the objective. The number 2 is creative, effective illustration. The important point in effectively communicating your research is how to present your data. It can be illustrated as either table or a graph. Figure can be line, chart, bar graph, pie chart, representative photograph, and any else.